Oh yeah, where the stars and SNX radios glow. Oh no, in the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, when mysteries are shown. Come with us and let it go. When mysteries are shown. Oh yeah, where the stars and SNX radios glow. Oh no, in the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, when mysteries are shown. Dance with us and let it go. When mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own.
Out of this world, like the UFO flow. Faced up and hard, got the universe glow. ET sipping lean in the Cadillac slow. Riding with the cryptids, they moving in stealth. Yo, SNX radio blasting. Off pro vibes intact. From the Milky Way, we ain't looking back. It's that bass rhythm in the night. I got sad spots lurking in the hid from sight. Snap a pepper picture. Beat drop, space invaders on call. Rapping with the cryptic voice echoes in the hall. Get it to Mars, they feel a bass call. Sitting on a spaceship, see us rock and brawl. Pop rock on a playlist. Synth pop light. Galaxy bound. Don't stop the night. It's that bass rhythm in the night. I got sad spots lurking in the hid from sight. Snap a pepper picture. This world on a cosmic flight. Our core popping there in the cosmic flight. Stars align as the solar night. Asteroids fly by. We grip so tight. Rap with the cosmos directly ignite. It's that bass rhythm in the night. I got sad spots lurking in the hid from sight. A pepper picture is a glory fight. Out of this world on a cosmic flight.
Dark where shadows play, whispers of secrets that lead us astray. Lights in the sky, they flicker and fade. Questions arise and truths are betrayed. Echoes of voices from ages long past, glimmers of knowledge ready to last. Chasing the night where the wild things roam. Are we alone or are we headed home? Mysteries, dances in the dark. UFOs shining, igniting the spark. Aliens calling from faraway lands. Cryptids and Sasquatch, just take a chance. Illuminate the skies and break down the walls. Secrets unwrapped, hear the ancient call. Together we rise, we won't be alone. Explore be shown. In every heartbeat there's a story untold. In the stillness, the mysteries unfold. Off-world entities drifting through time. Paranormal whispers so hauntingly sublime. In the silence of night, there's magic to find. Embrace the enigma, let go of your mind.
Redacted.
Cryptids and legends, a chance we can't miss. Conversations with experts unravel the threads, connecting the tales of the living and dead. From the depths of the ocean to the stars up high, the stories we chase will never die. Every encounter creates and relates the fabric of life intertwined with mistakes. Mysteries, dances in the dark. UFOs shining, igniting the spark. Aliens calling from faraway lands. Cryptids and Sasquatch, just take a chance. Embrace the unknown, let curiosity lead. The truth lies within and it sets us free.
And welcome everybody to a live version of SNX Radio. So today, pretty excited here. We have Rodney.
Hello, Coley.
Hi, yeah, you've been a big part. I really want to acknowledge a big part that you've been for the group, and other experiencers that have come for support. That group, it just really grew, and so I'm very excited, and I watch it, and I see the help that you're doing with it in the community.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Do you want to play, before we bring Mr. Michael Horn on, do you want to kind of give people just a little bit of a background and where to find you and kind of what you do?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I've experienced a lot of strange things, myself, like many people say, since a child. I'm 50 years old. Everything from huge ships, getting within 50 feet to 100 yards, close encounters, to a mass abduction that's kind of hard to talk about. Witnessed one cattle mutilation. Many things in between that. Giant orbs, small orbs, some cryptic experiences maybe. And yeah, you can find me. I'm on Podbean mostly, usually. That's just audio only, so people might be more comfortable, don't want to put their face out there, and they can remain anonymous, That's where I like to focus. But the group has been great. I really glad I became part of it, and I got to know you guys. It's not like these other groups you see out on Facebook or anywhere. It's the toxicity's not there. Rarely it might pop up, but we try to take care of it right away.
Absolutely, yeah. That's very good point too, because I've seen you kind of get in there, and not everybody's going to have the same opinion or the same take on everything. And I've watched how you get in there really, and you listen to both sides of it, and it's been nice to have you. So I really appreciate that. And two, just want to say hi to the chat. We got Facebook, YouTube, X.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll also be going on some of the major platforms such as Speaker, iHeartRadio, Pandora, all of that. So look for us out there too. But yeah, so without further ado, we have a fantastic guest tonight. We were able to get him, talk to him a little bit backstage. So Rodney being the other host tonight, so he's got some fascinating things too and points to bring forward. But for you that don't know Michael Horn, he is recognized as the world's leading authority on UFOs. He has over 45 years of experience as a science researcher. 45 years, that is a long time. I think that has to be it's very long. Yeah, and I guess I'm 45, so it was in 1979 when he started with the Billy Meier case. So it's, just kind of wanted to go through some 45 years and that dedication and him going to Switzerland. And he's got so many amazing I mean, he's an author, researcher, professional speaker, public speaker, specializing in UFOs and extraterrestrial life. Yeah, he's really got, 45 years worth of experience, I think, is definitely something to applaud and definitely, worth hearing from. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mr. Michael Horn on stage. And there we go. We have him. So I was giving a background, but I didn't do it justice, Michael. I really didn't. So do you want to tell people from your own, I always like to leave that open, like tell people who you are, the ones that out there that maybe have never heard of this whole, case. This case is huge, and it's part of the foundation of the UFO phenomenon. So definitely would love to hear your perspective and interactions and your research. Oh, you know what, Michael, you're just muted. I'm going to unmute you there.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you.
What month were you born in?
I was May 7th, 1979.
It was in September of 79 that I found the first photo book with Billy Meier's amazing, stunningly clear UFO photos. I would say that it changed my life, and everything that followed along, in the ensuing years has just been, well, I usually say to people, what can I tell you? What would you like to discuss? Because there's a lot of content to this material. There's more content here than in all UFO cases combined. I mean, literally that. And that means that there's over 45,000 pages of information. There are well over still 615 remaining out of 12 or 1,400 UFO photos, such as are behind me here, that Billy Meier took, all pre-digital, all long before computers and special effects. And there's metal samples and sound recordings. This is something that stands in its own right. Now, that doesn't mean that people have to believe anything. Questions and challenges are actually very useful, because people very often come up and they think of something like a question or a challenge, and it reflects what other people are also thinking, wondering, pondering, doubting, what have you. So that way we get to address it, and I try to always do my best to answer the question. I don't necessarily have the so-called answer to all questions. I can direct people to where they can find more than I might remember at any given moment. But this is in a category of its own, as I said, because this is a man now 88 years of age in Switzerland, who, since he was 5 years old, claims he has been voluntarily meeting face to face with people from another star system. He began to actually publish, if you will, to bring together information that he was learning and experiencing when he was 9 and 10 years of age. We're going back to the 40s and 50s. So this is something that, we can learn a lot from, and we can ponder, and then we can get to, we mentioned briefly in our backstage chat, the always unasked question in ufology.
Yes.
If it is real, what's the reason for it? And I like to tell people that the reason for it isn't so that I or anybody else can run around and lecture about UFOs. And it isn't for us to chase lights in the sky. And it isn't for us to get sidetracked with the so-called extraterrestrial element and the craft, the technology. There's nothing we can do with their technology. We don't have it. We can observe things, but there are reasons for showing these things. And there are reasons very definitely that one man for 83 years has been carrying forward, despite 25 attempts on his life and all sorts of other grief, having half of his left arm ripped off his body in a truck. And it just...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing where somebody has paid a huge price willingly. No martyrdom here, no self-pity. He has endured, because this is it's not just an 80-year long thing. It's a 13,000 500-year mission on this world that has been ongoing here since then. And it began even farther, longer ago in history. So there is a reason for this, and it transcends and supersedes all of our experiencing stuff. Like we talked about it. Both of you have had various experiences. Rodney, you just talking about. Coley, you were talking about. I've had my experience. And we've all had some pretty nifty experiences, but it's up to us to digest those and to find out what meaning it gives and brings into our lives and what we can do with it if we can. There are experiences maybe that we've all had that were very profound for us, and we can't directly take that into this outside world, but maybe we can translate that meaning into what we do in the world, in a sense. Maybe never speaking about it. Some people have had experiences they don't speak about, but it's changed them, and it's changed the way they've lived and what they've done. And so when we start to get into that focus, what is the intention of this case, then we're hitting pay dirt, and we would get out of this current ufology thing that has lingered for decades, has been largely infiltrated and controlled by secret military intelligence services, people who come and tell you there's an important thing we're going to be announcing tonight, the Stephen Greer effect, where nothing of any value, significance, or importance ever results from those pitches where the guy's basically just trying to raise more money for himself, in my opinion. And there are other people. And I say that because, yes, I've had personal experience with a lot of folks out there, including him. And I find it rather sad that, for instance, if I go on Facebook, and it's either Facebook or Twitter, maybe it's Twitter, and I go to, let's say, look at Stephen Greer, for instance. He's blocked me. I wonder why he blocked me. I thought we're all about disclosure.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, yeah. I've been blocked by a few, too.
Lou Elizondo and all. So he's going to tell everybody the truth. I wrote him right away after he published this thing. I said, Lou, you said here in these 5 points, you'll always tell the truth about the UFO. I said, so Lou, tell us the truth about the Billy Meier case. Never a response. One day I get a video, though, with a friend of his. I think his name is Sean Cahill.
Yes.
Navy intelligence guy. He's sitting in a car, and obviously he's filming himself with a cell phone. And in the background, I hear my voice in a video I had done calling Lou out. And then Cahill takes his phone, doesn't say anything, he turns, and there is Lou sitting in the front seat, kind of giving a thumbs up. Basically, it's kind of like, it's like, hey, you can't do anything about this, so have a nice day. Okay, if that's your attitude. This whole thing, when people speak about the alien threat, that is the biggest, craziest hoax that anybody who pays attention to that for this reason. It's not that there are not good and bad beings, let's say, throughout the universe. But when an advanced race would come here, let's say evil aliens, and they have this super high tech, they can get here from gosh knows where, and their crafts can do all this stuff. Would they really wait 70 years? Our government said they've known about this for 7. Would they wait 70 years to come and attack us when they've never done so?
Yeah, right. I know.
We've got a guy, a supposedly former intelligence guy who's, in my opinion, he's not former. He's doing a particular job. He's got a book deal. That's nice. So
CIA counterintelligence, and the word being counterintelligence.
They're countering our intelligence, but the trick is to not fall for that stuff. There's a lot we can talk about. Hopefully, some of the things tonight that maybe I haven't talked about before, if I haven't had the opportunity, or you guys want to talk about it, I'm certainly willing. That's what I like to do, is be involved with presenting this material. I've found it to be the most important thing.
You do, and you have, and that's very important to me. Like I would love to get to know you better, and for the people to get to love, to know you better. And I know Rodney came on. It's just like it's so fascinating, because some of the things that people do say, like you've just like counteracted about like 30 things that so it really should teach everybody a lesson, including myself. I'm going to admit it myself. And your dear friend Derek, who he came and he called me out on it, and I said, that's great, but it opened up a different perspective. Like, you got 45 years. And if anything I know about the crummy part of this community is the jealousy issues that are there. And what do? They lie about people, and they take down the people who are telling you some truth here. So I really believe, after going through this, that Michael Horn has a lot of truth here to tell. And I would love to get that out there. So, I'd love to hear it all. You can start from the beginning. Yeah. And then Rodney, I know you brought forth some really good questions. Do you want to start and ask?
I'd like to hear some things maybe he hasn't shared before, because I've well researched and everything. I'm way above ancient aliens, and I'd like to hear some new things that people haven't heard yet.
Well, I could jump to the thing that I was hinting at before when we were just off camera getting ready to go on. And it's this, the always unasked question in ufology is, as far as I'm concerned, if this is real, the Meier Contacts specifically, with an abundance of independently authenticated, the whole deal, if it's real, what's the reason for it? And I've said to people over the years, it's not for me or anybody to have a so-called career, such as it may be, lecturing about UFOs. It's not for us to chase the phenomenon that we can do nothing with. Sometimes it's not a good idea to get, involved with chasing phenomenon for different reasons. There are good and bad. It's not the evil gray thing, because the grays were androids, and that's a whole other story. But there's got to be some reason. Why would suddenly a young boy in Switzerland in 42, he's 5 years old, why would he suddenly start seeing, and just almost within days, meeting with a man for 11 years who would be his first contact person, according to the information in this case, then with another person, a woman, for another 11 years, and then another, and ultimately meeting repeatedly with certain people over the years up till right now. These meetings continue face to face. The reason, in my opinion, and I put out a video in a DVD in 2004, the Billy Meier Contacts, the key to our future survival. And I mean that literally. I look at it this way. The UFOs, this is the eye candy to get our attention. And there are some interesting reasons for that, and why we have seen in this case these disc-shaped craft. And I think, Rodney, it might tie into something you were talking about. And that is, yes, many people, not the whole population, but many people have had, and I'll clarify this in a moment, previous existences where there was an extraterrestrial connection. Now, you and I, in our current personalities, we didn't have that as, Coley and Rodney and Michael. Our spirit, our creation energy, the eternal part of us, animated and had incarnated, or it is reincarnated and incarnated people many times over the past, whose origins were with another race. Not everybody on Earth and all. And having said that, part of that I thought was interesting is they used in these Meier Contacts, and in some others, you see the disc-shaped craft, which are not the only shapes that crafts come in, but this was done also to help trigger subconscious things that were dwelling below the surface in consciousness and awareness that were connected to previous existences, whereby people might kind of become interested rather than terrified. Some people had become terrified, clearly, but many people would resonate a bit. They'd want to know more. They wouldn't be initially scared. And then that would allow a certain number of people to start this controversy, if you will, to really start the controversy, which heavily involves Billy's contacts. And what would happen then is there would be written information. His so-called official contacts began in January 28th, 1975. And that means that with his third contact person there, a woman called Semyaze, not Semyaza from the Bible, something else, Semyaze, these contacts were meant to be publicized, that the photo opportunities that began that day for him and the transcripts that he would, write out with one hand on a typewriter in German, it was very complex, that he would do once he returned home, and these conversations were transmitted to him telepathically, and he would have to recognize symbols, not words, and translate them into German with one hand and type away and get these conversations down, which would then undergo some, corrections for grammar and, spelling, different things. But this would be a process whereby the things that he would begin speaking about with these people then, and some of the earlier information would also surface. But those contacts, which have continued to this day and now number 905 just came out. Lots of work here. Wow. They would contain information, yes, that would contribute to our understanding of if these contacts are real, what do they mean? And how is that connected to our future survival? So, if I may, some of the things we talked about briefly, other civilizations, the history of humankind, there's volumes about that. The true history of our world, the true history of the country we live in, which is not the history we've been given. And it's even worse than the conspiracy theory people think it is.
So true, too. Yeah. It's so true. Man, when you start going down, it's like, man, I got to sort out what's fact before anything. It's that jumbled of a mess. Yeah.
You're going to get that, plus things you cannot imagine, where Meier is casually speaking about things that no one needs to believe a thing, where he is saying when Svath, this was his first extraterrestrial teacher, the elderly man, when Svath and I were there in that land about 12,000 years ago and observing this, or when we were watching when this or that are the things we saw in the future, and he just weaves them in and out of these conversations. Well, people could say, well, he's a very fanciful fellow. What do you mean you were watching things in Atlantis or here or there or this group, and when there was land here and it isn't? How could you say those things? Well, here's the thing. The UFO evidence has been independently authenticated. That's a slam dunk. We stopped getting skeptical attacks on that after I was kind of interrogated by a guy who was a supervisor, investigator formerly with the USAF-OSI, Department of Defense. I've got that story. I tell it often. It's on my website. They met me as a skeptic for 3 months, phone calls every Saturday, disappeared. 5 months later, came back, said, I'll tell you who I am, and a bunch of Billy Meier case. Bottom line, he says, this is authentic, 100%. I will take on any skeptics on your behalf. One of the unfortunate people who took on a guy named Kevin Randall, who's he just demolished poor Kevin. And then there was another guy in India who was a skeptic. And so the guy calls me back one day and says, look, no more of these people. They don't know how to research. They don't know what they're talking about. I did the real thing for the government to protect the country. I'm writing an article for you, put it up on the website. Since then, all these skeptics, with the exception of some loony person might say, oh, it's just hubcaps, they've disappeared. So there is something that I call the higher standard of proof. It's what I decided to. And that is that from the very beginning in this material, when I got the first transcripts, that was in 1986. I met somebody in a cafe in Sedona. I went back to LA at his invitation. He gave me 1,800 pages between 1975 and 78, transcripts of the conversations Billy is having with these alleged extraterrestrials. And then what happens 2 years after I start reading them, there's an article in a local paper, Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey, California. A-bomb testing tied to ozone damage. New discovery, Lawrence Livermore Labs, and they lay out the percentages and stuff. as I'm reading it, takes me 30 seconds to say, well, how could I already know this information? And then like a light bulb goes off. I reach under the bed. I pull out the first 100 pages, and it's in there. They're telling him in 1975, that's, 1975, this guy, 13 years before Lawrence Livermore Labs discovers it, and the percentages are close, and they tell him, you've got to send this information to Michael McElroy at Harvard and blah, blah, very specific stuff. And I'm going, wait a minute. And it strikes me like lightning. I'm going, wait a minute. I think this is about something more than UFOs. And then the next thing was, there was an article from a scientist at Stanford University, I think it is, where he said, oil earthquakes interact. And it was about the extraction of petroleum from the earth tied into 1976. Billy published that. This guy publishes it in 1990 or something. That's two of what are now over 250 specific examples of prophetically accurate, scientific, geopolitical, environmental, the first person to warn about all of this environmental change in 1947, Billy Meier. And then the medical, the economic information, and 250 plus examples, error-free, and not something like Nostradamus, like a bird flies between the buildings. This is this event, this discovery, this assassination. 1953, when I finally found that there was earlier information, in 1953, he is told by this woman that there will be a man named John Fitzgerald Kennedy who will be assassinated in Dallas, Texas. He will be president of the United States. And then there'll be another assassination of his brother, Robert F. Kennedy. And she tells him this will be a cabal, if you will, involving CIA people, oil barons, and some other disgruntled types. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is a higher standard of proof. We have information from Meier on virtually every planet in the solar system, which has been published before NASA discovered it. Slam dunk, ironclad, copyright verified. So here's the thing. That information that I've just glossed over could only have been obtained through one of two or both means: space and or time travel. How can a man in 1975, 76 be describing things that we're sending a probe to, the Voyager probe, to Jupiter to discover certain things that he's already published them, and they're in the possession of Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, former USAF Lieutenant Colonel. And he's bringing that information to America 3 days after he's sitting in America with it. He got it, 3-4 days before it flew over. Then NASA comes, and Monday, something like March 12th or whatever, 1976 or 78, I always get that screwed up. They have an announcement. The most important discovery of the Voyager mission is that the moon of Jupiter, called Io, is the most volcanically active body in the solar system. But that's what's in this material that Meier had actually observed and transcribed 5 months before that. And we have things 60 years in advance. So this is, look, all of us, many people that listen to you, we can all say, look, we're experiencers of certain things. Mm-hmm. Yes, of course we are. That's great. But I tell you, as someone who's now in my 46th year of, investigating and working on behalf of this material, those experiences, and there's some whoppers, there's some things that happen that they're proven, they're documented in terms I can prove that they happen, which is kind of rare because a lot of experiences, you've had them, but no evidence. Okay, so I have evidence. Great. It all pales in comparison because we're still talking about what is the reason for these contacts? Here we go.
Boom.
We have
right.
Higher standard time travel and space travel, and we can prove it legally and scientifically in 15 minutes in a court of law. 15 minutes. I've already proved it to one retired judge. That took about 6 or 7 minutes because he understood what copyrights mean. And he had walked over to a table. A MUFON thing gave me a table 13 years ago, and he's shaking his head, and he's a skeptic about it. And I said, well, can I ask you, sir, can I show you this thing? You see this date? Yes. I said, so if I tell you that my friend in Switzerland discovered the reason for the contraction of the surface of the planet Mercury before NASA did by 32 years, would I have to prove it to you? And he said, well, of course you'd have to prove it. I said, so if I turn to this page, here's the date and all. And where the man, Billy Meier, says, I've always wanted to know why the surface of the planet Mercury, seems to be shrinking. And this alleged extraterrestrial woman says, well, it's not difficult. It's because of the metal core. And that's what NASA claims that they've just discovered 32 years later. Who prevails in your courtroom, Your Honor? So this is where we can say, okay, I can prove Billy Meier's he himself. He's a time traveler. Doesn't brag about it, just simply relates his information and his evidence. Now that we can say, at least people who have immersed themselves enough not to believe, because somebody says, well, they said he's a time traveler, he must be. No, you'd have to do some of this due diligence yourself, right? So if that's the case, and if you come to that conclusion and you say, well, wait a minute, what's the reason for this? And I say, well, it's to help us assure our future survival. Well, how does that work in this? Well, start reading this contact and that one where they're talking specifically. Go back to the 47 and 51 where he speaks about what's coming environmentally, where his teacher in 48 describes that Europe will be flooding in the future to then and will start to go turning into swampy stuff. Just like if you go onto YouTube now and go flooding in different countries 2024, you will get, and it's still happening, by the way, all over, massive floods, snowstorms. There's going to be 5 major volcanoes going off in Italy soon. All of this stuff that they have published, it's copyright verified. Well, how does it help it? Now start reading about what they are saying about this environmental destruction that is coming and how it will devastate humankind and what the causes are and how we could avert some of this, probably not all of it. Well, and start to read some of this really kind of strange stuff from the 40s and on about the political situation that will come to America. Very specific people are going to come into power, and there's going to be some very unpleasant consequences worldwide. And what about some of the prophecies where in 1987 they tell us, we have it in print, the destruction of the World Trade Center by terrorists will be only the beginning of events that will be unbelievable.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, right.
All of it goes on and on. So, I don't want to just take all your time laundry listing everything. But
no, but I was reading too some of his predictions, like that Chernobyl, that he predicted that and different things. And I've heard that before about experiencers. So I have to ask, did he have a near-death experience at all in his
Billy Meier's been near death a lot of times in his life.
He sounds like it.
At least 25, yeah.
Yeah, he's been close to it. Well, those, not all of those, he was hit by bullets once or twice. He was hit with a knife. He had a dream the night before to put like a little agenda book in his pocket, in his jacket, and then someone came up to him the next day, literally point blank, and shot him there, and the bullet was absorbed. Wow. That person ultimately freaked out and then finally came back to see him one day asking to be forgiven. And he says, yes, of course, didn't know any better. We're okay. But his experiences, near-death experiences, just so we can be clear on this in terms of the information in this case, because he's written about what we call spiritual teaching is the foundation. They call it the creation energy teaching. That's the foundation of this material. And it is so extensive and broad and deep and far beyond. Look, I spent a lot of time back in the 80s and, and early 90s in the New Age stuff. I wrote comedy songs about New Age stuff for years.
You did? You wrote comedy? Now I can't. I've got.
Yeah,
that's great.
New Age comedy. And at the same time, I started to study the Meier material in, 79, 89, and I'm writing these silly songs, Leave Your Body Here With Me, and, New Age blues and all sorts of funny stuff. But I always knew once I encountered this, I went, "Oh, I think I'm going to be taking another, direction here." So with the teaching in this case, because it is so broad and so deep, for those who find it and resonate with it, this isn't a religion. There's no beliefs, none. It's non-religious. It's non-cultic. If a person starts to resonate with this through their own study and see how the change in thinking affects one's life, you don't have to run around and try and convert anybody. Just start realizing, wait a minute, this is real different. If you get that, if you feel a connection to that and then go and study, you will then understand how and why. You begin to understand how and why this can be truly the key to our future survival. The UFOs, they're not going to be the key to our future survival, neither the ETs or any religion or political system. Nobody's coming to save us. The core of this case is 100% self-responsibility. So when we have experiences of any sort that we could call unusual, paranormal, out of this world, whatever you want to call it, and that's fine, can we, let's say, digest that? Can we assimilate it and create value for ourselves? And it's not a rhetorical statement that has a no as an answer. If we are, being attentive and wise, we find ways to extract benefit from life experience. Then we get past the experience, in a sense, into the teaching and the study and the experience of learning the evolutionary level, which this is about. Billy has said, the meaning of life is the evolution of consciousness. It's not phenomena. It's not somebody else or something else. We have been so saturated for so long.
Yeah, it's true.
Religion, beliefs, saviors of one form or another. People think there's a current savior sitting somewhere in our government right now. And maybe people think in other governments there's some saviors. No, it's not going to play out like that. And we will find out. But let's just say that if we discover that this is authentic, then, and nobody wants anything from us, you don't have to study the teaching. You don't have to buy a book. There's tons, thousands of pages of free information. And there's people once a month, they get together online on a Saturday for a meeting, leaderless. There's nobody comes around as an expert. That whole thing that I put, on my Michael Horn's The World's Leading Authority, that George Norrie said that once. So I decided to grasp that. Let's face it. Yeah. There are people in secret military who are working on UFOs. They know more about the crafts than I don't care. What good? By that statement is really about, this is an authentic case, the authentic case. And I get the opportunity to speak on behalf of it and introduce it to people and try to assist with that. So in that sense, there is nothing that what are the real cases there? Have there been other sightings? Yes, of course, zillions. You guys know that. Have there been people that have accidentally, primarily, come into contact with probably extra or inner Earth or somebody? Yes, sure, that's happened. But there's no ongoing contact. It's not in the agenda. There's nothing that any advanced beings can get from us individually, for the most part. Be suspect of that more than thinking, I'm special. I got to see this and some. So this is what I try to get to most of the time. I don't always get to it in a presentation, but you have a community of people that are involved with their own experiences personally. That's subjective. I can't comment on that. I am evidence-based. So if somebody says to me, they say, well, I'm a contactee and da-da-da-da, I say, well, wait a minute. That's fine if you want to say that, but I hope you don't mind. But if you're going to make that claim and want me to somehow validate or anything else, which you don't have to, because I'm not the world's expert on your experience, but you'd have to present evidence. And then we could look at the evidence, because that's how you know if a thing is authentic beyond subjective. It doesn't mean people haven't had subjective, real experiences of all sorts. We're looking for the value of these things, and those are subjective things. I had subjective values from my experiences. Okay, so if, let's just say we know people who've had no experiences, they haven't cited anything and all that, that's fine. It's not the prerequisite for anything, but if we can come together as like-minded people with a commonality, and that commonality, in my opinion now, is the idea, not in a scary way, but assuring our future survival and evolution. And that comes from exploring more, in my opinion, about this case, about what this man has written about, and on every subject. I mean, you talk about, if you want to talk about things, the paranormal, there's no such thing as paranormal. There are things that exist that are outside our current knowledge of physics. Some things are hoaxes and they'll fade away. But there are things also called fluidal energies and swinging waves. These are things that influence us or that can occur that are real and that sometimes create the appearance of things or certain feelings, apparitions. Meier has a book this thick explaining it, a book on meditation that thick, on dying, death, and rebirth. I mean, so many things that we would want to know, but there's nothing in any of the teaching that says you have to.
Mike, we know that it's possible that there could be a military that's doing these abductions to people that make these claims, but is there possible that besides the Plejarens that there's another faction that could be visiting and doing these things too?
Well, let me give you a condensed version. In 2015, because I'd read in the material even before that, Billy Meier speaks about the Earth foreigners. So in 2015, he explained more about that. There are 3 groups, and it gets a little complicated. Well, there's actually 5. There are groups that live subterranean, some of whom are the descendants of extraterrestrials who were surface dwellers long ago. Some were from part of the peoples that ruled in Egypt, some in Central and South America. There is a bluish race, people that live down below, and there is another group that are future Earth time travelers. Meier has said that these people, none of them are really interacting with anybody. Maybe it could change. They're not abducting. There have been abductions, not as many as people talk about. There have been some. Some are, benign. I won't say benevolent, but benign. They are contact examinations by scientifically curious beings. Some have been maybe malevolent by some hostiles, but we're not inundated with evil aliens. And the crashes that, like Roswell, which happened, involved androids from the Zeta Reticulum system. There's a lot of this stuff. So it's not that there aren't other beings, but the way this is set up at this time, we don't have anything really to fear except the fact that our Air Force very often will try to take down craft from some of the inner Earth people. They shouldn't do that because the technology,
God, don't do that. Yeah,
it's way beyond our technology. It's not anywhere near what the Plejaren have, but their technologies are extremely advanced and would be very deadly if those people decide to attack us. And here's the thing. In the 1987 Enoch prophecies, it is said that in the coming time, when Russia and China come and clash against the U.S. in a world war, if we aren't able to avoid it, these others who are based underneath at least one faction may come and support the opposition to the West. They won't be on our side. It won't. So
I have to agree with you, though. When you said before, I said right now, there's not a person alive that should trust anything that comes out of the government's mouth, and not any agenda, because these have all been, it's been planned for a long, extensive period of time, and I don't think that we've been included in on the plan. Can I going back? So Billy Meier, when he was 5 years old, so he's a childhood experiencer. Do you know if anybody else in his family had experiences, or was he like the first one? Or I'm kind of curious about that.
It's possible that the parents met this man. I've got to get straight on that. But he had a parish priest that he had gone to confide in when he first heard the voicing. And the parish priest had been telepathically contacted by Svath, the extraterrestrial man, because the parish priest himself was a very evolved guy. And he knew the difference between the truth and the religions and all, but he was there to serve his community. But when he was informed that, young Edward is going to come to you troubled, and basically, in essence, he said, don't worry, I will assure him that it is quite safe to be meeting with you, blah, blah. And there's a world famous psychologist whose name was Carl Jung, Jung.
Oh, Carl Jung, yeah.
He helped young Meier with information to transcribe that they were sending around the world when he was just like a boy, 9 years old. And he was being brutalized in school by his teachers. They thought he was crazy. I mean, if you start to study this guy's life, you wonder, how did he ever endure? He runs away at 16, then joins the Foreign Legion to get away from all of this stuff. Then he says, oops, I shouldn't have done that. I got to go back and face the music. He walks out across the desert to get out of the French Foreign Legion. There were things that came of that, because in the 1950s, he was known in the Middle East, what was it, India, South Pakistan, and Turkey. He was known as the Phantom.
Phantom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He would bring in mass murderers and serial killers.
Now, did he use that ray gun that he had before?
Not in that activity, but he did shoot holes through trees. I've seen them. They're oval shaped. Try and drill a perfectly smooth oval shape. It doesn't work.
I think I want one of those. Yeah.
It's like this guy, no matter what, he has been attacked in every way, shape, and form all his life. Doesn't daunt him. He doesn't take, he doesn't get really all angry and aggressive about things. He will shoot back if somebody shoots at him and he's armed. He shot.
I can appreciate that.
I don't know, 100 yards or whatever, and they have the hat with a bullet hole through it. So he's a very interesting man. He had developed a lot of skills from the French Foreign Legion, learning how to handle weapons and what have you. But this man is the epitome of a peaceful man. But he said every life form has the right to defend itself. You just should never try to harm beyond the necessity of protecting yourself or another person. He's probably the most, I won't say just exactly low key, but the most present person I've ever spent time with, no matter what you're talking about. He's simply there with you. You don't get that he's trying to put himself above, defend against, or impress. It's just like, this is what a human being is like when they're very intelligent. They have a lot to share, and they're willing, and you can learn. So, question, shut up and listen to that.
Right.
It was great. So, this is a difficult time because we're going to be going farther and farther into extremely difficult times in many ways, just according to the information. So, as a community, what I suggest to people in the UFO community is experience whatever. Let's get to this next place of what's the reason? What are we really being called to do? Now, this is a challenge for a lot of people because it's very easy, if we've had certain experiences, to get a feeling of specialness and importance and with each other and have a community where we just keep talking amongst ourselves about certain things and phenomena. But
that is so true. That is so true. And it seems like it's really the people that are just starting the journey. And I can't say, I know when I first started, everything changed, but I had such a sense of urgency. I felt like I have to get this information to people. But it was after time that I started to see that there are many other people, that are doing that. So yeah, there's so many, it's a complex issue, but I appreciate you acknowledging that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and it just popped in my mind. I was in Billy's office one day. He had just come into getting a laser printer or something, because he types all this stuff out, thousands of pages, and all these pages were just had burst out of this printer. And I looked over and he saw me. He goes, "Oh, yes, that." He says, "Well, he says, I also write the teaching for the Plejaren." I went, oh, really? And these are people that are far in advance of us, obviously. If they exist, they're very far in advance. He said, yes, but the problem is that Quetzal, this one extraterrestrial, has to come here and he has to get the pages and then he beams back up to his ship and then he goes back to his home world. It takes too much time. It's time consuming. He says, so next week, Zafanat Panea is coming. I said, yeah, what's he do? He says, he's going to fix my computer so that when I write the teaching, I don't have to print it out anymore for Quetzal to come and get it. I punch in a code and it goes through a server to a tiny disk above the earth that transmits it right back to them right away. I said, oh, okay. Now the guy's telling me he's got an IT from outer space. So I come back months later, and because I said, I'm not, but I want to find out, is this guy, I'm interested in this, but I don't want to be taken for a ride unless, of course, that'd be nice, but that's not the ride I would get.
Yeah, right.
So I said to him, I'm sitting down, and I said to him casually, I said, so Billy, how's your computer working? He says, oh, yes. He says, so a while back, Zafanat Panea came here to fix the computer because you see, I write the teaching for the Plejaren and Quetzal always has to, he just nails the same thing without a thought. He says, so he came and he made it. So now I just type in a code and it all goes to the server, to the disk, to the world. But he screwed something up in the computer. Now he has to come back. We can fix it.
It sounds like
all right.
Yeah.
You gotta take the good with the bad.
I mean,
nothing's perfect.
Some of the stuff is, it's cute stuff that happens there too. It's just sweet stuff. But I've got to go. I'd like to take you up on the opportunity to follow up on this and even suggest for the people in your community, the people that watch this show tonight, if there are questions and especially challenges or anything else, then we could maybe they send to you and we discuss them if you want, and any others. And I could set aside more time. I just thought it was for now.
That would be great. If in I don't know if you have some time in 2 weeks, I can even open up a slot for you, Michael. I'd love to hear some more from you and to Rodney, see if you're available, because that would be great to reconvene and let people digest this and hear that, but you got you're not out against us. You're not out against the experience. There's no need for division. There's no need for any of that. You're actually pretty aligned and level-headed. So I look forward to hearing more of what you have to say.
I want all of us who have let's just say a bigger interest in life to find a commonality of great quality and to come together, not as true believers or anything, but as people who are looking to find truth, share, question, challenge, discover, and help in that future survival thing and be among the survivors, not among those who didn't catch that. And there's no guarantee. A lot of things change in life. And, I do answer emails. And if people go to my blog, the They Fly blog, they can see all this, tons of stuff for free. They can, throw in questions and challenges. And one guy who writes brilliantly just posted another article on the true information about Atlantis and Lemuria on Fly blog, and this is all based on Meier's information. I remember reading it in the 80s, and it's bigger and beyond what most people know, because most people don't have access to this information. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, no, this is a wealth. And two, we are building a website. It's going to be SNX or SNXradio.com. If you want to list any of your, I would link them directly to your site, but I think it'd be, you have some profound resources here that would be definitely help benefit the community. Definitely.
Yeah, it would be great, because we want to share with people who are interested. They don't have to believe in anything, hopefully nothing, including this.
Right.
I said to people, they ask me, do you believe in it? No, I don't believe it. I now know it, so I don't have to believe it. Belief means we don't know. Scientists don't walk around saying, we believe this. You know it, you don't know it.
That's so true. That is so true.
So does that mean don't believe in yourself? Know yourself?
Know yourself is better.
No, yeah. Good point.
It's we understand what that's trying to say. It's just that when we're fed beliefs for things outside of ourselves and saviors and politicians and know yourself, and then find the truth within. And we also receive truth from outside of ourselves. We're not islands alone. And it's a give and take, and it's a long evolutionary course that we're on. So let's do it together too. You do your own part. You come together, share, contemplate. So I will have to take leave, and I thank you guys for tonight.
Thank you. Yes, and we'll be in touch, and then we'll set up a time. So look for Michael to be back in the next couple of weeks. So we want to really thank you for coming on and giving us just a piece of this long history. So yeah, I appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you once again. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's been great.
Your folks out there, talk to you
soon. And to the listeners, yes, I'm sure they'll have a bazillion questions, and I think that this has really been a good start. So I'm excited moving forward. This will be great.
We'll do more.
Sounds good. Yeah. So, and then Rodney, so what do you think? We always like to do and comics. I really like Michael. I really do. I have to say that I had some preconceived things that I thought, some notions, and even through my research, but I was happy to hear him say and talk about a lot of this stuff, and it helped, kind of open my mind even. But how are you feeling about everything?
Well, he definitely, you won't run out of material with him. I mean, he's got the most documentation and proof. He really does. I mean, it's not just he's the contactee. There's time travel involved. He didn't touch on that too much. The ray gun. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff to talk about, his experiences, and he's spent a lot of time with him. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's just unbelievable. So, I wanted to thank you too, also for coming on tonight, and hopefully we'll get to see you on future shows.
Definitely.
I know you did.
I'd love it.
Excellent. That's awesome. So, in closing out, is there any words of wisdom you want to leave the audience with?
No, like you said, it's not about belief. It's about knowing. And, go check him out. And if we don't get him back too soon and you want more information, he's on YouTube, Michael Horn on YouTube.
And he's really, he's been really and just reaching out and more than willing to talk, as have you. So, I want to get your information, and I'll add Rodney's information on there. And he's been doing, like I said, check his group out on Facebook. He's really doing wonders. So again, I want to acknowledge and thank you. So on that note, we're going to call it a night, and I'm going to be in touch with Rodney because I think we need to get him back on here. He makes a great host.
Thank you.
I love that.
It's my first time doing a face reveal. I spent all my time on another app where it's just audio, but it's okay. Maybe I can do something. We'll get better next time. Yeah,
no, you did great. You did absolutely fabulous. So that's
thank you.
Yeah, and so everybody who's listening, we're going to say thank you for taking the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio. And on that note, on my slow end here, we're going to let you go with some jam. Hopefully, let's go. There we go.
Where the stars and secrets flow. Some SNX radio's glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, where mysteries are shown. Into the be we own. Come with us and let it go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're alive, it's just the start. Into the unknown, where mysteries are shown. Into the be we own. Come with us and let it go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to life. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, where mysteries are shown. Into the be we own. Come with us and let journey, come on, let's go. Oh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow, so right. Some SNX radio's glow, oh no. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, into the free will. Come with the
In silence of space, we drift and we roll, finding our place in the vastness we call home. With courage and wonder we reach for the light, guided by visions that illuminate the night. Mystery cloaked in the past unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Chasing the dreams that fill the night. The symphony nights, we find our name. A wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Facing flow with the cosmos, whisper our name. A symphony of wonder under the celestial light. In the deep glassy moment, our wisdom grows. In the dance of the universe, the truth flows. In the quiet of the night, we dream and fly, with questions that echo through an endless sky. Bound by the stars, our story unfolds. In the universe, our destinies are told.
Let's go. Oh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Some SNX radio's glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, into the free will. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark.
Coley, the girl radio host, brings exhilarating discussions to SUBN 8 Ion X Radio, where they explore the uncharted realms of ET and UFO experiencer disclosure, driven by an insatiable curiosity and courage for the truth. As Coley delves into a captivating tale of a listener's encounter with a UFO, her passion ignites the airwave, pushing the boundaries of knowledge and discovery. The audience is captivated by a stunning image of a glowing orb shared by a listener, which sparks excitement as Coley reads the chilling account of strange lights and sounds that punctuated the night sky, giving life to the enigma. With a detailed map sprawled before them, Drew passionately outlines the web of UFO sightings reported across the globe, while Coley debates about the patterns they uncover, revealing tantalizing possibilities about alien visitors.